The state's task force on alcohol pricing and addiction services is at kind of an awkward moment trying to figure out how to properly tax the alcohol industry to fund alcohol addiction services in the state. Now on Thursday, a local brewer from Corvallis voiced his concerns about prior attempts to tax alcohol production in the state. And KZI 9 News reporter Aaron Ariano shows us reaction from the task force as they work against the September deadline to make official recommendations to the governor.
Aaron Sarnoff-Wood says he had to try and work his way onto this state task force on alcohol pricing and addiction services. He's a local cider brewer from Corvallis. He recently voiced his concerns regarding data that's used to determine how high tax rates should be. Aaron says that 2019-2020 data was gathered using two different methods. He says that made the data for addiction rates appear higher than it actually was. Even though the report was eventually retracted, he says everyone still ran with it.
A number of journalists made conclusions looking at that data that Oregon's addiction rates were skyrocketing. Again, though, the data did not support that conclusion. It was just a change in methodology. Because it was so prevalent in the media, we saw a lot of legislators then working on extreme proposals to combat what they perceived as a red alert addiction crisis.
Those legislators and addiction advocacy groups are trying to enact policies that will help fund addiction services. Aaron says he just wants the taxes on alcohol production to be fair and for data and studies on addiction rates in the state to be accurate. But another member on the task force who represents addiction services says there's no time to reflect on the old data due to the overwhelming amount of people who need help every day.
We can do a million studies and we can say that it's flawed data, but my phone line ringing off the hook of people begging for help.
Although both Solara Salazar and Aaron sympathize with each other's issues, the alcohol industry is still trying to bounce back from the pandemic and alcohol addiction across the state worsening. Solara says time is running out to find solutions. The task force has until September to craft recommendations on tax rates on alcohol production to Governor Tina Kotek. And although Aaron was finally able to show the task force members that the data they were using isn't adding up, they aired out some frustrations after his presentation.
I agree with you 100% that we don't have the data we need, but to say that we don't have any data and to completely minimize the need in our communities, it hurts.
I don't want to say that details don't matter because they absolutely do, but I think it's missing the bigger picture.
So where does the task force stand now? Solara says despite the back and forth, she's optimistic they can meet in the middle to find the right tax rates.
I don't believe the answer is to kick the can down the road, which is what the studies do. And so I'm really hoping that, yes, we do need more data and we need some help right now. And that could be in the form of a meaningful tax.
To see Aaron's full presentation on the alcohol sector in Oregon, you can find that and the task force's recent meeting on our website, kzi.com. Reporting in the studio, Aaron Ariano, KZI 9 News.